Finding a career path you love is not easy, and the fact that you landed on this video tells me you're still searching. Objectively speaking, data analytics is a fantastic career path. It's impactful, it's varied, and it's in high demand, which means good job security and decent pay. But just because something sounds great on paper doesn't necessarily mean it's the right fit for you. So how do you figure that out? Well, stick with me. I've got 6 questions you must ask yourself before you go any further. By the end, you'll either feel confident that data analytics is the perfect match, or you'll know it's time to explore other options. To help you figure out if this is the right path, we're also bringing in expert insights from Andreu, a data analyst and instructor at Masterschool who works in the gaming industry. He knows exactly what it takes to thrive in this field. So rest assured, you'll have the clarity you need to move forward. Let's jump in. Before we get into our questions, I want to emphasize that being a successful data analyst isn't just about learning technical skills or mastering tools like Python, SQL, and Tableau. Sure, that's an important part of the job, and it's all stuff you can learn. What's not so easy to learn, though, is mindset. The best data analysts have certain mentality or a way of thinking. They possess inherent qualities or natural tendencies that really enable them to succeed. But don't just take it from me. Here's how Andreu describes the mindset of a successful analyst.
Hi, I'm Andreu. I have a background in economics, and I'm an instructor in Masterschool. I teach students how to either get into the data analytics world or transform themselves from another sector and use those skills in their own sector. I'm also a game data scientist and game data analyst for the gaming industry, and I've had 7 years of experience, and I live in Barcelona. When I want to describe the mindset of a data analyst, it's always understanding and liking the product you work on. That's why I usually tend to recommend as well my students to first dedicate the first years of their data career into finding what sector motivates them enough. The mindset has to be curious, and it also has to be a little bit product driven as well.
Think of it this way. You wouldn't become a therapist unless you were curious about people and a naturally good listener, right? And you probably wouldn't train to be a professional swimmer if you hated water. In the same way, there are certain traits that really lend themselves to a career in data analytics. And if you got them, you're more than likely to enjoy the work, stick with it, and truly excel. So, is data analytics a good fit for you? Let's find out. 6 questions to ask yourself. First up, are you naturally curious and can handle uncertainty? I don't just mean asking questions for the sake of it. I mean the kind of curiosity that kicks in when something doesn't quite add up. An almost irresistible urge to just dive in and figure it all out. For example, let's say you're doing your usual grocery shop and you notice that a product you always buy is suddenly out of stock. Not just once, but a few weeks in a row. Do you just pick a different brand and move on? Or do you decide to investigate? That curiosity in action, noticing small patterns and changes, and wanting to know what's behind them, that's exactly the kind of mindset you need in data analytics. Always asking why, digging deeper, and searching for explanations. Andreu made a great point when we spoke about curiosity. It's not just a bonus, it's a foundation.
My favorite thing about working in data analytics, it's always been to fulfill my curiosity. So to be able to dig deeper into my databases and find patterns, find things that someone else hasn't found in the same data set, in the same database. And that's also kind of aligning with my personality. I'm always curious about things. I always like to learn insights and new curiosities about the data itself. So that's what probably is my favorite part about it.
Curiosity often goes hand in hand with another important trait, being comfortable with uncertainty. Because when you're working with data, the answers aren't always obvious. Sometimes the data is incomplete. Sometimes it's contradictory. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense right away. So you've got to be okay with sitting in that space of not knowing for now. If you're someone who needs everything to be clear, black and white, and tied up neatly with a bow, this might get frustrating. But if you really enjoy working through messy problems and figuring things out piece by piece, you'll get on just fine. Next, I want you to ask yourself, do you have a logical, analytical mindset? When you're faced with a problem, do you tend to break it down step by step, looking at the facts, weighing up different possibilities, and trying to make sense of it all before jumping to conclusions? That's a key part of an analytical mindset. And it's at the core of what data analysts do. You're constantly working with information, spotting patterns, and trying to draw meaningful conclusions. That means approaching things methodically, not emotionally. It's less about gut instinct and more about evidence. Let's say, for example, you're planning a weekend trip and trying to choose the best train to take. Rather than just picking the cheapest or the quickest one at random, do you look at all the options? Compare travel times, prices, number of stops, maybe even consider how reliable the service usually is. That's analytical thinking in action, weighing up different variables and making a decision based on logic. If you enjoy thinking this way and it comes naturally to you, that's a strong sign that you'll be right at home in data analytics. Now let's talk about problem solving. Are you a savvy problem solver? Are you the type of person who enjoys tackling problems head on? Do you go straight into solution finding mode? Or do you feel stumped when the answer isn't immediately obvious? In data analytics, problem solving is key. You'll often have to deal with messy, incomplete data or situations where the answer isn't clear. But rather than getting frustrated, you'll need to enjoy the process of rolling up your sleeves and finding a solution. Imagine you're planning a road trip and the original route falls apart due to unexpected road closures. How do you handle it? Do you feel stressed or do you enjoy the challenge of reworking your route? Some people find this process satisfying, but for others, it's a nightmare. So which camp do you fall into? If you're good at adapting and finding solutions, you're probably a keen problem solver, and that bodes very well for a career in data analytics. Number 4, are you interested in business strategy? How do you feel about the strategic side of things? Do you find yourself naturally curious about how a company operates and how different decisions affect the bigger picture? Do you care to understand what drives a company's success? In data analytics, you're not just crunching numbers. You're helping businesses make decisions. Whether you're analyzing sales trends, customer behavior, or market opportunities, your work is directly tied to the business strategy. Let's say you're working as a data analyst at an e-commerce company, and you notice a sudden dip in sales. Rather than just reporting the numbers, you need to think about what could be causing it and what that means for the company's broader business goals. So if you naturally have a tendency to consider the bigger picture, you'll be in a great position to handle the strategic side of data analytics. Number 5, do you feel comfortable with numbers and statistics? Now this is a really big one. You don't need to be a math genius, but it goes without saying that data analytics involves a lot of numbers. You'll spend a significant portion of your day in spreadsheets and databases, crunching numbers, analyzing patterns, and ultimately figuring out what the data is telling you. Now, if you generally don't consider yourself a numbers person, or if the very idea makes you shudder, then you may not be a great fit for the career path. But if you feel more excited than overwhelmed by that prospect, then you're off to a good start. So now, my final question for you. How do you rate your communication and collaboration skills? As a data analyst, you won't just be working in your own little bubble. You'll need to collaborate with people from different departments and regularly communicate your insights. Andreu also talked about communication as one of the most important, but most underrated skills in analytics. Let's check it out.
I actually think it's more valuable to have these soft skills than the hard technical skills. I do encourage these in my students a lot, and the main ones would be good communication, mainly with stakeholders, understanding what kind of channel are you putting that information on, understanding if they are technical or non-technical, if you have to digest the data in a way that you are showing more actionable items instead of actual insights and data. So yeah, definitely communication and stakeholder management would be two of the most important soft skills for a data analyst.
You don't need to be the world's best public speaker, but you do need to be comfortable explaining the data, presenting it in meetings, and working with others. So think about whether you enjoy being part of a team and feel confident in your communication skills. If you're more of a solo player and tend to shy away from collaboration, it might just not be the best fit. So, you've gone through those 6 questions, and now you're thinking, yep, that really does sound like me. What should I do next? If you're serious about becoming a data analyst, you'll need a structured, methodical approach. That means learning the right skills in the right order, getting plenty of hands-on practice, and eventually building a portfolio that shows employers what you can do. We've created a separate video that walks you through the whole process of becoming a data analyst, so be sure to check that out. You'll find the link below in the description. And if you're looking for a training program that will take you from beginner to job ready, check out Masterschool's Data Analytics program. It's built specifically for career changers, covering everything from technical skills right through to job hunting. And that's a wrap. I hope you've now got some clarity on where to go next. If you're still unsure, take your time to reflect on the questions we covered and learn more about the field. It's so important to make sure it's a good fit before you dive in, because while technical skills can be learned, mindset is much harder to teach. But when your natural strengths and interests align with the role, you'll find the transition much easier and much more rewarding. Good luck. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.